In this video, we'll set up our Java development environment. First, we need a JDK, and I recommend JDK 8 or 11. So here on this computer, I already have JDK 8. So then we need to download some software, and we need an application server. We'll be using Apache Tomcat version 9. So go to the Apache Tomcat download site and download the zip file under the core distribution, this one. And then click this to download the JSTL tag library, which we'll use later on, and go to MySQL website to download the MySQL JDBC driver. So we need to pick the platform independent and then the zip file here. So notice that there's a link here that says no thanks, just start my download. You don't need to sign up for our account. And last but not least, we need IDE. We'll be using Eclipse. So go to this page. Notice that there are lots of Eclipse distributions targeting different types of development. The first one is for Java developers. Many of you probably have used this one in your previous classes. There are distributions for other languages like C, C++, PHP, and so on. The one we need is the second one. Very importantly, we need the IDE for enterprise Java developer. This one let us to create web projects. Don't download the wrong one, and if you have this one from previous classes, you'll need to download this one. So I actually have already downloaded everything here just to save time. So once we download it, just unzip Tomcat. So let me just extract it here, and then let's unzip Eclipse. So extract here, taking a little bit more time. While we're waiting, let me open up another window. Okay, so the good thing about zip files is that you can extract them and put them anywhere. And I usually like to put all the tools for a particular class under a class folder. So I have CS3220 here. So let me drag these two things over. And I'm also going to create a workspace folder here. So later on, I'll use this workspace for Eclipse. All the projects will be under this workspace folder. Again, I want everything to be under the CS3220 class folder. And so now let's put the Java files into the Tomcat directory. So go to Tomcat folder and then the lib folder. So you can see that there are a bunch of Java files in the lib folder, and we'll put a few more in there. First, the JSTL Java files, and a common mistake is to just put the zip file in there. Please don't do that. So go inside the zip file, and you can see there are two Java files here. One is called JSTL.jar, the other one is standard.jar. Let's just drag them here. So now they are in the lib folder, and do something similar to the MySQL JDBC driver. So go inside the zip file, see there's a jar file here, and drag it over here, and then now we have this one. So now we have completed this step and this step. Yeah. Oh, so on Windows 10, you'll notice that whenever you start Eclipse, it takes a very, very long time, and that's because every time you start it up, Windows antivirus scan will scan the whole Eclipse folder, which takes a long time. So if you are on Windows 10, search virus and go to virus and protection settings, and yeah, go to manage settings and go to exclusions. So add or remove exclusion. I already excluded my Java folder from virus scan. Now I'm going to add the courses folder to the exclusions of virus scan. So this way it won't scan the Eclipse folder every time I start it. And that's, of course, that's because my Eclipse folder is under the courses folder. And this will improve startup time on Windows 10 tremendously. So I highly recommend that you do this. So now we have completed this step, and let's quickly create a sample application. It still takes a little bit time, especially the first time. I think it does some initial setup, trying to locate the JDK and stuff. So the workspace will use this folder we just created, and check use this for default, don't ask again. Okay, so now we are in Eclipse. So let's close the welcome window. And what I want to do is to create a so-called dynamic web project. We can just create it here, create a dynamic web project, or in general, we can do file, new, and then projects, and here is already it already has a dynamic web project shortcut. So in any case, once you start, it will show this project creation wizard. There are two things we have to set. One is we have to give it a project name. Doesn't really matter what. I'm going to call it web test. Then we need a so-called target runtime. So this is the local application server that Eclipse will use to run the project. Currently, we don't have anything set up yet. Create new runtime, and then select Apache Tomcat version 9. That's the one that we just downloaded. And next, and go to the Apache Tomcat folder and just select that folder, and then click Finish. So now you can see that it has an Apache Tomcat version 9 runtime, and then click Next. You can leave everything to default. Next. On this screen, you want to check this one, generate web.xml deployment descriptor. I'll explain a little bit more about this later on in the lecture video, but generally speaking, you would want to have this one for the purpose of deploying it to the CS3 server. So click finish. And yeah, so everything is kind of slow for the first time, but second time should be much faster. So now we have the project, and we want to create two things. First, we want to create something called a servlet, and later on we want to create something called a JSP file. So let's create a servlet first, and right-click on the project, and select New, and then select Servlet. Where is it? Okay, Servlet. So servlet is just a Java class, and like any Java classes, you can give it a package. And for servlet, it's I think it's required to have a package. It's not just recommended. So make sure that you give it a package. Package name doesn't really matter. Let's say I'll just call it CS3220 servlet. So this is the package name, and then you need to give it a class name. Again, class name doesn't really matter, but let's just call it hello. So I'm just going to call it hello. And next, finish. Let me close this one and close this one. So this is what a servlet looks like. Most of the generated comment we can get rid of. Okay, so now it's easier to see what's in the code. Here we want to print out a message. So the way to do that is to say response get writer print, and then you can print out a message. Here it says hello servlet. Let's change it to hello 3220. And so this is our servlet. And then we want to create a JSP page. So we're going to do right-click on project, new, and then JSP file. And this one I'm going to call it hello JSTL. We'll explain what JSTL is in the future when we get to the tag library part. So copy over the code from here and put it here, and now we have the JSP file. So then we can try these two things locally. We can right-click on the project and select Run As, and then select Run on Server. So it says choose an existing server, manually define a new server. Okay, so the first time, I guess it will show something like this. We already have the Tomcat 9 runtime, so just click Next, and then Finish. Allow access again. So you'll see a 404 error. That's okay. That's because if you run the whole thing as a project, it by default goes to this URL project root path. What we need is to go to the servlet URL to see the servlet. So the servlet URL is hello. So put hello after this, and we see hello says 3220. And then the JSP URL is just a file name, like a HTML file. So we'll say hello JSTL.jsp, and it will say hello JSTL, which is what's shown here. So now we have completed this step. We have now servlet and JSP, and both are running correctly on localhost, meaning that if you look at the URL, it says localhost is running on this computer. Now the next step is to put it on CS3 server. So let's do that. First, let me connect to my account on CS3 server. So far, when we create HTML and CSS files, we are putting them under the public_HTML folder. But now we'll be using the www folder. So this is a place where we are going to put the web projects or the dynamic web projects. So the way we do it is we need to copy over the class files, the JSP files, and then the web.xml file generated with that generate web.xml option earlier during project creation. So first we'll locate the class files. Go to the project folder. So this is my workspace, and then this is a project web test. And the class files are under the build folder. So go to build classes, and you'll see the class file here. Notice that in Java, the package name corresponds to a folder hierarchy. So if the package name is CS3220.servlet, you can see that the class is under CS3220 servlet under the classes folder. So we want the whole thing, the whole directory structure, including the class. So this should go to webinf classes. So we'll talk a little bit more about the directory structure of Java web projects in the lecture. But for now, just remember that everything under classes should go under classes. So classes go under classes. So now we have the classes. Now let's go back one level, 2 levels. So go to the level that shows webinf. This is the root folder of the project on CS3, and here we want to copy over hello.jstl to here. Notice that here there's a webinf, here is a webinf. So when you see two webinfs, you'll know that they are at the same level in terms of the project, and so that's how you know you should copy over the files. And then the next one is web.xml file. So go under webinf. So here web.xml, and as you can probably guess, it should go under webinf on the server. So go inside webinf and then put it right here. Okay, so now we have our project on the CS3 server. Let's see, we can access it. So this is the URL we use to access the servlet or JSP. So it's http cs3cast.la/edu port 8080. Notice that this URL is different from the one that we use to access those HTML files. For those URLs, there's no port number. That's because it's using a different HTTP server. This one is a Tomcat server. It's running at port 8080, so we have to put port 8080 here. Now, previously, you have to use a tilde in front of the username. Now there's no tilde. And then you'll specify the servlet or JSP name. For servlet, it's just a servlet name. So for example, if the servlet is hello, it's just hello. For JSP file, it's a full file name, kind of like the HTML file. So here it will be hello.jstl.jsp. So let's try it. hopefully it will work. So HTTP CS3 and port 8080, no tilde, and the servlet name is hello, so hello. Okay, so we do see it here. That's very good sign. And so now we know that the servlet is working on CS3 now. And then we check hello jstl.jsp, and it also shows hello jstl. Now everything is working. That's great. And now we have completed the last step.